Come on, let's get nuts.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, did you watch any of that Sheldon Johnson interview from Joe Rogan?
I didn't, but I seen bits of clips in it on YouTube. He was fairly believable, like, wasn't he?
I don't know, like I watched about 20 minutes of it there in the morning. It's hard to watch because he just comes across fucking full of shit now. Now, like hindsight's 2020, and everyone's watching it now. Kind of I was reading the comments underneath, and everyone's saying like, "Oh, he's quite clearly a psychopath and stuff."
Yeah,
they're analysing the stuff that he was saying and how he never really showed any regret for anything that he'd done. Everything was an excuse for him. Everything was like, "Oh, sure, I barely did any harm," and like he used this phrase, "I caught another case." And it's like, what are you talking about? You caught another case.
What's he mean by
he fucking got in trouble again. He fucking broke the law again and got arrested again. But he was saying, I caught a case.
But he was just dismissing it
as it almost like it wasn't even my fault. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so he was kind of playing the poor me story, like where he was saying that both his parents were deaf or something like that.
Okay.
And at one point he mentioned that when he was 10 years old, they put him in a straitjacket and put him into some sort of psychiatric ward, and Joe was kind of going, Jesus Christ, why the fuck would they do that? Like, he was like, I don't know, because I'm black, and maybe
how young was he when that happened?
10. But I'd say he was a fucking lunatic from the beginning, do you know?
Okay, see, I don't know much about him now, but like I said, I just watched a few clips of it. But straight away, when you're looking back on that now, knowing what he's been...
I know, like a month after the interview, like, he's fucking chopping someone up.
But straight away, when he's coming out with stuff like that, that comes across to me that he's obviously tried to cover up something, tried to explain something, maybe. Because if you're guilty like that, you're going to try and always explain things. Like,
yeah,
you know,
he just seemed like the kind of guy who was like, he was never admitting any fault for himself. He was never saying, you know, I fucked up from, you know.
But what was he jailed for?
I think it was kidnapping or something like that. But he'd had multiple convictions.
Okay.
He'd been in, I think he'd done time for having an illegal firearm as well or something like that. So they're strict with that shit over there.
Yeah.
But the judge gave him 50 years.
50 years.
And the judge was black himself. It was almost like the judge was like, I know this fucker is dangerous, like, you know. So they got him out after 25 years. He was a model inmate, and he was studying and stuff like that. And I think he might have had a couple of degrees or some shit like that.
The whole thing, like, why Joe Rogan was backing him up as well, was saying, okay, he just, your man's basically saying he was jailed because it was obviously a racist kind of a thing, right? And Joe Rogan was backing that up.
Yeah,
so he basically fell for it.
Joe Rogan was kind of going along with the narrative, that there's a disproportionate number of blacks in prison, and that's because of racism, and the sentences they get are disproportionate to the crimes, and that's because of racism. And it's like, there's always an excuse, I suppose, you know?
But then, let's say, apart from his case, right, so who was actually in that interview? Was his lawyer with him or something?
No, there was some other...
who was with him?
Fuck, I can't remember now. No, I can't remember.
So basically, were they going through a movement of trying to look for, I don't know, like, better treatment of black people when it comes to things like this out there in America?
It was something like that. No, they're I think they're kind of they're pushing for, I don't know, like, is it more lenient fucking, or more a fair judicial system for them or something like that. But it's always, they're never going to be happy, like, they're, you know.
But he was on multiple times on Joe Rogan, wasn't he?
Who? This guy Johnson? No, he'd only gotten out like 9 months before the interview.
There was another guy on Joe Rogan, and it was the same thing.
Yeah, that guy he was falsely convicted. That was that was a fucking wild story. And did he escape or something, and then turn himself back in or something?
Okay, right.
He escaped kind of by accident. That was his story, basically. He was being transported somewhere, I think, and I'm not sure exactly what happened, but one of the cops started shooting at him. One of the security guards started shooting at him. They saw him on his own. He went into the toilet, I think, with one security guard, and he came out by himself. and your man, the second security guard freaked and started shooting at him, so he ran for it, and he ended up escaping. But yeah, it sounded like he had a fucking pretty wild life, but he was wrongly convicted apparently.
Yeah, that's the one that I listened to. That came out something like last summer, and I was listening to that. But that fellow was on multiple times. But that's basically what they're doing, looking for the reform of the way they convicted, I suppose, people and wrong, kind of a thing. But see, it's like what's the term they put on it? It's like a prison. It's like a prison industry, basically. That's what they say.
Industrial complex or something,
industrial prison complex around the ball there. So basically, what they be using prisons as modern slave labor.
Yeah,
isn't it?
They apparently they lobby against legalization of cannabis because it'll result in fewer prisoners for them if those laws go away.
Yeah.
And I heard this from your man. Wouldn't be a fan of him now, but you know, are you familiar with Cheech and Chong?
Never watched the films.
Yeah, Tommy Chong has a podcast, and I don't know if he still has it, but I was listening to him before, and he was just talking about how they love stoners for prisoners because they're non-violent,
right?
Typically, you know.
If
you're arresting,
if you're
arresting for someone who's got a $100 worth of fucking weed on them for personal use, and they're going to throw them in jail for 2 years for that or whatever. They love that shit, you know.
But what do they actually? What kind of slave labor what's the use?
I don't know. Like I heard they make military equipment, military uniforms. I heard they make McDonald's fucking uniforms and stuff like that as well. Number plates.
And obviously a lot of this to be kept under wraps.
They're working fucking 2 cents an hour, fucking 10 cents an hour, something crazy. Yeah. And so slavery is alive and well there in that regard. So
what's actually happened? With the crack there with Sheldon, seen the video of him entering his apartment complex, and it was wearing
a fucking blonde wig and stuff.
But it looked like it was definitely a male anyway, because you could see the build, and you can kind of see the facial features too. They look very.
I didn't examine the footage now. I kind of just took it for granted that it was him when they.
I saw. I was kind of pausing and messing around with it and kind of zooming in and stuff. But if it was a woman in it, it was a fairly hinch one, you know. Yeah. But so what was it? A torso was found in his fridge.
He was seen by the fucking. First of all, I think the neighbours overheard heard one guy begging for his life, basically.
And saying
please, I have a family.
I have kids and stuff. Yeah.
Then they heard a loud bang, and they heard another loud bang, and then he was seen. I think he was seen leaving, and coming and taking your man's car. I think, and then coming back in an Uber or something like that in the wig. And he might have had a bin or something. I think they saw him going in at about 2 o'clock in the morning with a bin in his hand or something.
Right.
So when the cops were called, then they went. They checked it out, and they fucking left. He gave them some excuse, and they took it and they left. But when they went back a couple of hours later, and the fucking apartment manager, whatever you want to call him, he said, look for a bin in there. So I'm going in with a bin. And sure enough, they found the fucking torso in the bin, and I'm not sure exactly but they found a head in the freezer, and he fucking put the wig on the fucking head.
Man, the minute I heard of that, I just thought of that. Did you watch that show about Jeffrey Dahmer? No.
No, man, that was fucking scary.
That's nuts. Watching that show. It surprisingly enough, it's not that violent, right? It doesn't get into the gruesome side of it.
But he was a cannibal, was that right?
He was cannibal. Kind of, but fetish for body parts. But he was gay as well, so he'd go into like these gay nightclubs and target these lads, and he'd like put stuff in their drinks, like on roofies and shit like that. But there was one of his victims. I think he was young. He was underage or something, like 16, maybe even younger, right? So
how many victims were there?
Oh, I don't know. There was a lot of them. But I'll check that one up. But so he's living inside an apartment block, right? And I think one of his neighbours seen this. Oh yeah, sorry. So tried to murder the kid basically inside the apartment, right? And I think he hit him with a baseball bat or something. Hit Jeffrey Dahmer, something like that. Knocked him out. So then he got out the door. Then his neighbour saw that teenager scrambling, like, you know, and called the cops, whatever. And then the cops came and saw the kid, and he was just out of it, whatever Dahmer had given him. and it was just Dahmer. They just asked Dahmer, who is he? He says, oh, he's just my friend, we're just hanging out. And then basically the cops were like, okay, all right, just take it easy, and kind of just thinking he was drunk. The kid was drunk, right? And he said, look, go up there and mind him, so just keep him in off the streets, kind of a thing. Yeah. The cops just didn't give a fuck, like.
Right.
And
the kid went back in there.
Yeah, but I think the cops, there was some rap that they got after the whole thing got out anyway. But that man, like...
So did he kill that kid then?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Back into the apartment and finished off the job. No, I think he'd passed out then. But he'd some strange like obsession with The Exorcist 3 as well. So there's a scene inside that series of him just there with the thing on, Exorcist 3 on his TV inside his room, and this other guy that he'd pulled back to the apartment, and he was just there in the corner on the bed, like, and they're just like, okay, let's just chill and watch this. And your man's even like, what the fuck, why are we watching this for? And he's like cuddling up against him and all, and just obviously getting turned on by the film as well, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And but apparently that was his thing. A lot of his murders, that was kind of like a ritualistic thing. He'd turn on that film.
Oh fuck, man, that's dark.
And go into it then. Though I don't think that there's some things that that the series didn't get right. Like there's a scene of him. So his next door neighbour, she was very suspicious, and she'd smell like basically the dead bodies rotting away. So she complained to the owner of the complex, and was complaining to Jeffrey Dahmer. He says, okay, I'll just keep cleaning out. He said, what is it? Oh, I forgot to take out the garbage and stuff like that, right? But sure, like the smell of fucking flesh would be horrific, like. Yeah. And then the owner of the apartment block just said, look, whatever you're doing, stop fucking doing it. And your man's like, okay, grand, whatever. So then one day he comes on, and as kind of like a thank you kind of a gesture, or a sorry gesture, apologising to the neighbour, went into her, and he says, oh, I brought you a sandwich. And what was in the sandwich? Only fucking human flesh, like. I don't think that happened. Real? Okay. I don't think that happened. I could be wrong.
Right.
But, and I think the other thing was, I don't think she was living right next door to him. Right. I think she was maybe in the building. Okay. But they just added that into the story. I don't know. Yeah. But like your man's father as well. So when they were interviewing him after, said, "Did you see any signs of,
Dahmer's father?"
Yeah. And he was like saying, I had the same thirst and hunger for doing what Jeffrey was going to do, but I just didn't do it. I always knew there was something wrong with me. And he says, I blame myself for what Jeffrey did, because there was small little signs throughout his life when Jeffrey was growing up, right, that were kind of mirroring what was going through his life, but he didn't really know what was going on, and he was in denial of a lot of it. Didn't know that all these murders were happening, but he should have, like, he was blaming himself after. He said, I should have done more, I should have tried to make sure that he wasn't doing what he was doing. Like, but it's nuts. It's a great series. Your man that plays Jeffrey Dahmer he's in X-Men. What you call that guy he based? Are you into comic books?
I know most of the movies. I think
Silver. No, it's basically the Flash of the X-Men.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember that name, the actor, but yeah, it's mad. And he was like even saying after in his court case, he said it was just too easy what he was getting away with.
Yeah.
Like he said, I obviously know I had a problem, but it shouldn't have been that easy, like. Jesus and Christ. I think that he got killed in the prison in the end, I think.
Death penalty? Or
I think he got killed.
Yeah, I came across a guy there a few years ago, and he was talking about serial killers in America. He had a theory that all these serial killers started popping up after some event. I can't remember what it was now. 17
victims, that's how many Dahmer had. Apparently, that's what they found out, like.
Okay. Did he admit to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the series is brilliant. What have you said?
Yeah, there was someone had a theory that all these serial killers were popping up after some event. Was it after Vietnam, or was it after the Korean War? I can't remember, but saying he just noticed that suddenly in America there was an abundance of serial killers, and his theory was that they were being fucking produced by the fucking powers that be, MK Ultra style stuff. Right? That they were just these damaged fuckers, and they were just releasing them out into the world to see how long they would.
It says here, right, so Dahmer was later sentenced to 16th term of life imprisonment for an additional homicide committed in Ohio in 1978. On November 28, 1994, Dahmer was beaten to death by Christopher Scarver, a fellow inmate at Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage, Wisconsin.
So he wasn't even given the death penalty?
No. 16, but like that mightn't have been legal in that state, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
But go on, MK Ultra.
No, that was it. Like, but yeah, I should have looked it up earlier on. But yeah, he was just saying, yeah, that he felt like there was just a disproportionate number of serial killers suddenly popped up in the US, and he felt like that they had been victims of MK Ultra
in the 60s, 70s, was it?
When they were doing all the fucking. What was the thing that there was a TV show about this? Was it Wormwood or something like that?
Okay.
Where it was kind of a story about how the CIA started drugging people without their knowledge, the LSD, to see how they'd react in certain situations. And there was one guy who they employed, and they'd done it to him a few times. And he jumped out of a window one day, and there was a massive cover up about it. You didn't come across that one?
There's this guy, I can't remember his name, but basically this psychologist that was hired by the CIA, and he was in charge of a lot of these, running a lot of these this operation basically. But was there a thing as well that there's some nickname of like houses where all the prostitutes would be, and where they called the John house or something, I don't know what it is.
Right. Was this with the
some nickname they put on it anyway? But so basically, the prostitutes in the house, fellas would be obviously going there, getting lured in there. Then the prostitutes were given the LSD and stuff like that, and they'd spike them guys.
Yeah.
And then what would happen is
they'd be watching them through a two-way mirror or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I don't know what happened to them then, but basically that was being used as a way to experiment on these guys. Yeah, the Johns, wasn't it? Is that the nickname they call them?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
But the same guy, fuck it, I'll have to look up his name. They were saying that he was involved with the Charles Manson thing as well, and that when Charles Manson was in prison, that he was visiting the prison because he was a psychologist, but he was also giving him bits of LSD and things.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, just experimenting on him, just seeing what way he'd go. Like, did you watch that film from Quentin Tarantino? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I think I don't remember much about it, but I watched
Great movie, but it was about
Charles Manson was a character.
Charles Manson was it, and the two was so his cult, his followers, like, so basically like that, like, you'd be young kids, I don't know, 16, 17, 18, a lot of them that had ran away from home, and he'd just kind of like be the father figure bringing them in, but like there is, I don't know how accurate it is now, like Quentin Tarantino is mad for kind of like, it's like having these events that he covers in some of his films that have really happened. So he did it as well as in Inglourious Bastards.
Okay.
It was like, do you remember that cinema inside Paris, wasn't it? That the young one was run. Remember, she inherited the cinema.
Oh yes.
So I think that was a true thing that happens, but it was Hitler was supposed to turn up to it. But it was a plan that was in effect that was going to take out Hitler, right? Supposedly, but then Hitler got wind of it and never turned up. But that film was if Hitler had turned up, and what would happen?
Well, that's interesting.
He did the same thing then with that film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay.
And there's one of the scenes that Brad Pitt's character is playing this stunt double.
Yeah.
But I think he's at the end of his career, kind of a thing, right? But trying to still prove himself that he still has it and all this shit. But goes to this he's looking for this man. Goes to this caravan park anyway, and you notice there's a few things that's off here. Charles Manson's followers basically are there, right? And there's the old man that he's looking for So when he goes up to inside the cabin, knocks on the door, and he's like, "Oh, we call him George. Is George here? Oh, George is sleeping right now. Whatever, and all this crack, right?" So he's very sus about it, and he's like, "Wait, oh, I'll just wait." So because he knows like there's a lot of dodgy looking characters around here, so goes into the sitting room, and the place is a keep like, and they're just all off their head and something. But like thinking back, is it LSD they're on or what? Don't know. So they're just watching the TV, all of them, and then one of them, a couple of the guys then come in, so they're part of the cult as well, and they're like wondering what the fuck is Brad Pitt's character doing here. So they're trying to obviously get rid of him, and they're like, "Oh, George is still tired, so he won't be up for a while. Can we leave a message for you?" He said, "No. I'll wait, even if it's an hour or something. I'll wait until he wakes up." So then he eventually makes his way. I can't remember, but anyway, George is actually alive. So it's kind of left up to the viewer, and they're thinking, "Oh, is your man actually dead? Did they kill him?" But he's actually alive in the bed. He's actually is sick. So they are actually taking care of him, but they've taken advantage of the whole situation. They basically moved in top of this single man's kind of little caravan park, taking over it. But that was that, and then it was like this massive, mad scene at the end, like pure Tarantino style, pure violence, like. And Charles Manson was after. So what happened in real life was he murdered some director and the girlfriend, wasn't it?
What's her name? Sharon Tate.
Sharon Tate.
And a couple of her friends, I think.
Yeah,
Not the director. The director, I think, was Roman Polanski. He's another dodgy.
What did he direct again? Horror movies, wasn't it?
Do you know what? I don't know.
Yeah. But basically inside the thing, it didn't happen. Charles Manson didn't, and his gang didn't murder Sharon Tate. And your man Brad Pitt's character just beats the shit out of the girls that are there. I think it was a couple of girls and a couple of guys.
Right.
And like he has a can of dog food and just fucks it off your one and breaks her nose. It's just hilarious, but it's pure Tarantino. Like it's just so violent. But yeah, there's this book written about Charles Manson. I've ever heard about it. It's called Chaos. I'm mad to read it.
No.
But it's supposed to be excellent. It's about this guy that studied the case of Charles Manson over a span of 20 years. Like he put intense investigation into it.
Was he on a podcast there a couple of years ago?
So it's called Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA and the Secret History of the 60s. Written by Dan Piebenbring and Tom O'Neill. Yeah, so what are you saying?
No, your man Charles Manson is an interesting character though, because he had all some fucking wild theories and stuff. But I came across this author Dave McGowan a few years back. He died a few years ago, but he did a few podcasts. He wrote a book called Weird Scenes in the Canyon, and it's all about this place called Laurel Canyon. Have you heard of this place? It's somewhere in the Hollywood Hills,
right?
And there's during the 60s, and I'm not sure if it went into the 70s, but there was a secret military base right smack in the middle of this fucking neighborhood. And in the neighborhood, they're all mansions occupied by the fucking, I don't know, the Hollywood elite type actors, famous actors and shit like that. But what McGowan was saying about it was that he felt that the entire 60s music culture was manufactured by the CIA. And he was talking, he went through, listed all the bands that ended up recording a lot of their stuff in Laurel Canyon. There's a studio there called, I think it was called the Laundry Room. And there was a film studio there, and apparently they according to McGowan, there's literally thousands of movies made there, but none of them saw the light of day. But they made thousands of movies, and they had a state-of-the-art movie studio in this place. So nobody really knows what the fuck was filmed there, you know, or what they made there. But do you ever come across a movie called The Men Who Stare at Goats? George
Clooney?
Yes.
Yeah. That's about him culture, right?
I think it's the Jeff Bridges character is like a hippie military.
I never watched it, but I'm just mad to watch it. It's one of the films I put on the back burner.
I'll have to watch it again myself, but this military base gets a mention in that movie. I don't know if they mentioned that it was in Laurel Canyon or not.
You don't know who directed it, do you?
I don't. But all of these famous musicians, they all flocked to this one area all at the same time, from all different parts of America and different parts of the world.
Mm.
And they all had this similar fucking 60s hippie music sound. They all kind of shared this kind of a sound. So anyway, McGann was like thinking the whole thing was manufactured. And Charles Manson, it looks like for example, as an example, Neil Young was one of the stars that came out of this thing, right? And he recorded a lot of stuff in this place called the Laundry Room. But Charles Manson was there at the same time recording music as well. It was almost as if he was being created as well to be a musician, and then they just said, no, do you know what, we'll do something else with him, and did this shit instead.
Yeah, directed by Grant Hislop. I haven't a clue who he is.
But yeah, it's
okay.
and apparently there's all tunnels from all these houses. All the houses are connected by secret tunnels and stuff. And it's almost
That's
like you know the whole Bohemian Grove scenario,
right?
Where you see photographs of Richard Nixon and fucking Ronald Reagan before they're even fucking politicians, and they're sitting at this table in Bohemian Grove together with all these other future people.
Is there pictures of them?
People. Yeah, I've seen this picture of Ronald Reagan sitting at a table in Bohemian Grove with Richard Nixon and a few other famous people who were yet to be
to reach status of what they got to.
And Laurel Canyon was very similar, like all these famous politicians, future musicians.
I haven't heard of that one. No.
It's a fucking mad one, yeah. Future actors, they all were hanging out in this fucking place together,
right?
As if they're just being created, you know, like a decision had been made. You're going to be a movie star. You're going to be a fucking pop star.
But like, there's this theory as well that like the hippie, let's say the hippie kind of movement back in the 60s, yeah. So you'd wonder there, is there a correlation between you'll call it your MK Ultra project, right? And the way Vietnam was going on around the same time. What year was that?
That started in the 60s and it went through for about the mid 70s.
They say the most pointless war that ever happened, didn't it?
Yeah.
But obviously the hippies were obviously anti-war, and that's the peace movement and all that. Yeah. But then why they took the likes of your man Manson, I don't know, and other kind of big influential characters. I don't know, did Manson have any role to play in like protests, stuff like that? I don't know. But would say other maybe figures that were involved in big protests, right? That they'd taken a lot of them and that they'd laced them LSD and all that crack, right? And basically making them violent, and then they were committing crimes, and then that was going on like front page of the newspapers, right? That was trying to turn the mainstream against that, turn the public against that, and the mainstream were playing it up. So then they'd be like, oh fuck, they try to get people against the hippies, and basically thinking that America were doing the right thing and shutting up everyone about this.
Yeah, there was apparently legitimate opposition to Vietnam, and it was coming from like. Back in the day, college students were fucking like, they were academics. They weren't fucking pissheads like they are now.
Yeah,
it's a different thing. So you had professors from big universities, and students from these universities saying, you know, we don't need to be in this fucking war in Vietnam. So they were legitimate, clean cut, intelligent people making an intelligent argument. And the theory is that the CIA came in and they created this hippie.
Yeah,
he's the hippie with the long beard, the long hair, the fucking smoking weed. He's the antithesis of fucking, you know, I suppose the everyday American at the time.
Yeah,
you know, and
because everyone's like pro-America.
It was just to delegitimize that movement, so that when people think of anti-war, they think, oh, mine was fucking hippies.
But it makes, exactly, it makes sense though. But then it obviously snowballed into what it became.
Yeah. And then you have like your man, Jim Morrison from The Doors. So he was in Laurel Canyon as well. And the story with him is fucking mental, because like apparently, if I remember correctly anyway, all the members of The Doors, none of them had ever been in any other band before that. And Jim formed the band, and apparently he had written all the music before the band got together. He had all the songs written already.
What?
And he didn't play any musical instruments himself, and he didn't read music. So, and then and then his father, talking about Vietnam, his father was Admiral Morrison, and he was heavily involved in this thing called the Gulf of Tonkin incident.
I've heard of that. I've heard of that.
So it's like a false flag attack. The Vietnamese apparently attacked. As far as I remember, Vietnamese attacked America. So apparently it was a bullshit story, but it was Admiral Morrison that was I think it was his fleet or something that had been attacked.
And they basically they had to retaliate then, kind of a thing.
Yeah, but it's just funny that his son then just so happens to be this fucking future rock star. Then.
But had he, I suppose, did they ever come out and show like that he had a background in music?
All I know is he I think he even said it in interviews that he didn't read music. He couldn't read music. Yeah, and he didn't play any musical instruments.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And he was massive. So he's massive. What's some of his songs?
Fucking, break on through to the other side and
yes,
come on baby, light my fire.
Yeah. But even like that's been going on spanning generations of in decades of the industrial military complex. Like, sure, like even now there's people profiting big time off it. Like what's during one Nancy Pelosi, isn't it? She's in her 80s now, I think.
Yeah.
But like even every American know that she's corrupt as fuck.
Yeah.
But she invested big time in Lockheed Martin. I think was it 2 months before the invasion of Ukraine.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and she was questioned on it, like, obviously, and the answer that she gave was, oh well, look, I've always invested in these companies, like, as part of my portfolio or whatever, like, over there. And then again, like, showing that she's pro-America, she said we have to stand up for our country, and if the weapons weren't there, someone else would be making them, kind of a thing, But there was this mad, I don't know, did you see it a couple of months back, or maybe last year, maybe? Her husband was at home. Did you see that video?
I heard about this, yeah, go on.
Yeah, so there's theories about that. So the actual video is him there answering the door to the cops, and it's police cam footage, right? So then he's just holding a beer in his hand. And then there's a beer. Yeah. So there's a guy at the side of him. I think it's beer he's holding.
Yeah.
There's a guy at the side of him and holding onto his arm, and then the cop is like, "Are you okay there?" And then your man, what's Pelosi's husband's name? Or what's the husband's name? But anyway, it's just a mad bit of footage. So then your man like fucking panics and he just pulls out a fucking, what was it, a hammer, and starts beating into your man, and like he's down the ground, and then the police jump on top of the guy, and then all you could hear is your man just snoring. He's just gone.
Oh yeah.
But I think your man's fucked now, like.
Oh, is he?
He's fucked. No, not 100%. But like then there's the theories. Yeah, but then there's a theory that your man that intruder knew the husband.
Yeah.
But they were just trying to like he could be just fucking someone that was just anti that family and just fucking broke into the house, kind of a thing.
I thought there was some theories that they were fucking getting it on or something. It was a gay thing.
Heard that too, yeah. But you're going to hear everything.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, she's supposed to be fucking corrupt as fuck.
Yeah, like somebody posted something there the other day. It was like all the wages that politicians make.
Paul Pelosi.
Versus their net worth, and it's like, how has this person been making $120,000 a year for the last 4 years? But they're worth $50 million.
Yeah, but sure, when she started, like she was basically nobody. Like she had only a couple $1,000 to her name, kind of a thing.
Right.
But like everyone, but what's good about nowadays, like, is a lot of people are opening their mind to this, and they know that America are one of the countries that are as corrupt as fuck. Like, but sure, Vietnam was one of the first wars that people like. It's the most pointless fucking war ever.
Yeah.
But even what's going on at the minute, like over in Ukraine, like, sure, wasn't there something there, 2 billion that they accidentally sent to Ukraine? This is going back again like a couple of months ago, maybe 6 months ago, kind of thing. Actually, the end of last summer, I think. And there was 2 billion, I'm nearly sure, $2 billion that were accidentally transferred over to Ukraine, right? For resources, basically, yeah. And they said, oops, that was a mistake, but you can keep it for future aid.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, who's fighting this fucking war? Like,
Jesus,
like.
The whole world's gone mad over Ukraine. You heard this shit in Ireland. $1 million a month the government is spending on is it housing the pets of Ukrainians?
What?
Something like that.
Jesus Christ.
$1 million a month, like.
And there's people struggling here. People have to leave the country
fuck's sake,
to
like.
fucking because they can't afford.
Yeah, the amount of money that's been thrown at them.
Look, obviously it's a horrible situation to be in, but did you watch that interview with Tucker Carlson?
No, with Putin.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I seen bits and pieces. So I had to go on. It went on maybe 2 hours or something. It was a long fucking interview anyway. But the first 20 minutes, half an hour, Putin was just giving a history lesson.
Yeah.
Of Russia. Like he went back a couple of thousand years.
Yeah.
And then Tucker Carlson getting a bit impatient, and he was like trying to speed him up, and get him to answer the question. And Putin was having none of it. Like he just fucking turned to him at one stage, turned to Tucker Carlson and goes, I thought you majored in history. He says, but now I'm giving you a history lesson because you obviously don't know your history. But the gist of it was, he was asked, Tucker Carlson asked him, what's your deal with Ukraine? And one of the things he gave was he wants to denazify Ukraine. Right? So he's saying basically that there's a lot of statues that are of these like figures that were part of the Nazi regime apparently. Okay. That are people with Nazi ideologies that are still there with in Ukraine, and he still thinks that a lot of their ideas are basically in support of the Nazi regime ideology at the time. And then he was asking Tucker, oh, do you know who started World War II? Germany. He said, no, Poland started World War II. Germany were trying to denazify them as well. Right. Kind of a thing. Yeah, okay. So then if he's saying shit like that... Yeah.
So is Putin saying that Hitler wasn't all that bad? Or what?
Yeah, that's what I got from it.
There's a documentary doing the rounds. I haven't watched it yet. It's about 16 hours long or something like that. There's 12 parts in it. What the fuck is it called?
Not Nazi Hunters, no?
No, it's basically like... I should looked it up, but it's basically painting the suggesting that the entire narrative of the story of World War II is all bullshit. Okay. And it's kind of sending people down this road of, so Hitler wasn't really a bad guy after all, but it talks about like how Hitler removed the Rothschild banks, right, and the Jew-controlled banks from Germany, and that's what kicked off. That's why they wanted to kill him. They wanted to destroy that. Okay. What's the name of it? People are fucking raving about it now. But
right. Is there no one that's coming out?
It's come out this year, as far as I know. Yeah.
So what's kind of the gist of it? Hitler and Rothschild.
If you look, I'd say maybe if you looked it up on Twitter, maybe or something, you might find it.
Documentary. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think that they play with a lot of the history books. They do,
Yeah. Well, what's I remember our teacher saying to us in school, the old story, the history is written by the victors, and straight away people are going, so is it all bullshit? So, sir, and how do we know?
The Rothschilds, did they start? Was it Germany? They started off.
I don't know.
It was Europe.
Oh yeah, Rothschild. I think they changed their name. I think Rothschild means Red Shield or something like that. I think it's German.
Yeah, but then they must span across Europe and into America, Spain, and basically they set up central banks.
This now, they'd be like, these two fucking idiots don't know what the hell they're talking
exactly,
about.
Yeah. But I think, but in terms of World War II, you wonder what the fuck really happened to Hitler, because he was...
they have Operation Paperclip, that's probably a real thing, where they snuck Nazis out of Europe. They went through Vatican City. I'm getting two things mixed up now, aren't I? I'm not sure.
Paperclip was when they brought them all to America, wasn't it?
Yeah, they brought Nazi scientists to America.
Sure, Werner van Braun as well, sure. He was the head of NASA.
Yeah.
And he was a pure Nazi,
Yeah.
He had factories over in Germany, and apparently if you were a slow worker there, you would be home, I think, in front of the other workforce.
Serious?
Yeah, or something like that. He used to do that.
So they tell us anyway.
So they tell us.
Yeah.
But that's,
but yeah, he was, I heard this girl who worked with him, I'm not sure what she was to him now, but she claimed that he confided in her about Project Bluebeam, and that,
Project Bluebeam.
Yeah, and that obviously there was an agenda to take over the world. One world
back in the 40s. Like.
This was after World War II, so yeah, 50s, 60s. He was probably telling her this shit.
Yeah.
But he was saying to her that the end game, according to this girl, the end game, was a fake alien invasion. From, I suppose, fucking holographic fucking spaceships in the sky and shit like that. But the flat earthers love him as well, because on his headstone he mentions he it was a Bible quote. I can't remember the quote now, but it mentions the firmament.
Fuck yeah! The layer of water basically, and above the earth.
Firmament separating the fucking the space from.
Okay.
Or separating the waters or whatever.
Yeah.
That's something that the.
Literally, I type into Google here, Werner Van Braun grave comes up.
Okay. What was it?
What is on it? Yeah. What is on it? And it's the whole thing of there anyway with like Argentina.
Yes.
There's the show The Nazi Hunters, and they were basically tracking, seeing where the fuck did all the Nazis going.
Yeah.
And they believe as well that Hitler escaped to Argentina because Argentina actually supported the Nazi party, and I think they aided him in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Obviously, more people know more information than me, but what they found was there's villages out there like in the middle of nowhere in Argentina.
Like German villages.
And they have Nazi flags.
Are you serious?
And they could have like pictures inside the house. Like there, I remember watching a clip of the show. They went into this cottage, right, and there's this Nazi military guy up on top of the wall.
Right.
And it must have a painting probably, yeah. And they're like, "Who's that?" "Oh, that's my great granddaddy. He was a great guy."
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's
fucking
mad.
shit.
But you know, actually, you reminded me there now. Wasn't there a scene in one of the X-Files or the X-Men movies? What's the Irish actor that does the X-Men? But he goes down to Argentina He goes down to Argentina to kill somebody, to kill some Nazi or something as well. But when they slip this shit into these movies, I just feel like they love their fucking Holocaust propaganda and they love their fucking Nazi propaganda, and it's like.
I just looked at it here, right? So it's I'm just here on Reddit. On Van Braun's headstone, the heavens declare the glory of God, the sky displays his handiwork.
Oh, okay. I thought there was something about the firmament in it.
Yeah.
Is there Google Images now?
I'll have to check that. Yeah, but what were you saying?
What was I saying?
Yeah, do you remember I showed you some of these? There's this channel on YouTube, and they basically go into all the flat earth theories. Now, there's a huge community. There was this Netflix documentary, and you watched that one,
no,
yeah?
I didn't watch it, but what was it called again?
I can't remember, but I know
it was a piss take.
It was a piss take. Yeah. No, it was over in America, primarily all of them, but they did this experiment at the end of it, basically having like this board of timber shine this laser through it, right?
Yeah.
So that to see that was flat,
yeah,
the laser would be the same distance from the bottom of the timber to the laser, would say, yeah. But then that was obviously different, so that proved their experiment wrong, that it were around flat. Then there was this other one, like they spent like 10 grand on this gyroscope, and they like travelled it along a distance, and that basically proved that there was a curve, right? So at the end of the documentary, they said that just because this is proven that the world isn't flat, it doesn't prove nothing. We're still going to try. We spend a lot of money here on this thing, but we're still going to try. And that's basically the end of the fucking thing. Yeah. So it's just a piss take.
Just making them look like as dumb as possible.
But personally, I think that is bullshit, man. This flat earth.
The funny thing about the flat earth is like that. a
The
lot
reason
of
being the networks didn't believe that.
a lot of the stuff that they point to as evidence isn't really evidence, but it is something. Do you know what I mean? So like an example would be Antarctica. So they say they're lying to us about Antarctica, and their argument is that Antarctica isn't a continent; it's a wall around, or whatever.
And there's more land outside it,
and that's why we have the Antarctic Treaty. But that doesn't prove that the Earth is flat. It just proves that there's something going on with Antarctica that they're not telling us. They're blatantly hiding stuff.
No, the name of the channel on YouTube, right, is Hippie Productions. The stuff he does is fucking fierce entertaining. Like, there's one there, I'm just going to scroll on his channel, the Flat Earth official trailer that was run from 6 years ago. But like, he has a couple of, in fairness, they are deadly entertaining.
Yeah, you told me about one before as well. What was that called?
That was him, Sean Hibbler. Yeah. How I heard from was from Eddie Bravo's podcast there. Like
Eddie's a big believer.
Oh, he's full in. He's full into the.
Yeah.
Full into it, but like it's gas seeing him on Joe Rogan. Like his Joe's like, "Come on, to fuck Eddie," and he just gets over his fucking. He's like, "No, Joe, it's not. The world is fucking flat." Yeah. He's like, "All you globists, you don't believe it," and but the whole thing is like they put in a few things, right? There's this clip there of a rocket from SpaceX, right, that was launched, and apparently that it hit the firmament that they're on about, right? So you could see it going above, but that can be debunked that just fucking exploded, kind of a thing. Yeah. Then there's the one like when you see a rocket going straight up, that why does it curve? Yeah. Why isn't it going straight up? Yeah. They did another one like that they believe that the sun is local. Yeah. So basically that the sun shrinks when it gets farther away. Yeah. So,
I've seen that footage. Yeah. So it's all what are they saying? It's kind of line of sight or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. But that's just down to just pure perspective, like. Yeah. That's how I'd explain that. There's a couple of different things.
It's been slipped into movies a few times as well. Like weird things that like again it's something, but it doesn't prove the Earth is flat. Yeah. If it's just written in the background on a wall somewhere. Or at the start of Back to the Future, one of the the clocks that started Back to the Future. Do you remember Back to the Future? No.
I do, yeah. But go on.
One of the clocks is a map of the flat Earth, and then they'll point to things like the United Nations flag is the flat Earth. Yeah. And like there was a clip of Obama mocking the flat earthers while he's standing at that podium with a flat Earth map in front of him.
Right.
Just little things like that.
But then
that doesn't prove anything.
It doesn't. But that map as well, the one that they say is their official flat Earth map, that was just a map that was used before just as a map, basically. And then we got the more modern map that shows what we see now, kind of a thing. So that doesn't prove nothing about the world being flat. Or that's just basically a map, and that's the way it's just displayed on a 2D
They make argument about flights as well, flight patterns. And that's one thing that is interesting, that I find interesting.
It is, I've seen that one.
Like when you see how you fly to certain places, then it does make more sense on the flat Earth map than it does on the ball.
Isn't it like travelling from, I don't know, is it Portugal or Spain to Argentina or something?
There was one travelling from South America to Australia.
Australia.
That's right, yeah. And they fly to fucking Dubai, or they fly to England first or something.
Yeah, and it's like a mad distance. And so it's way shorter to go. Yeah. That is interesting, yeah.
There was something else there now that, what was I going to say?
I think the thing as well with NASA, right? So there's clips there of basically astronauts with a green screen, and they're like with this grid.
Yeah. So that doesn't prove the Earth is flat. It just proves that they're fucking around, probably fucking around. Yeah. They're spending money. God knows, like, the amount of money that NASA gets is fucking astronomical.
It's something like 50.
It's fucking tens of millions every day or something.
50 million a day or something like that. But so they basically, their whole thing is, that NASA is just this massive fucking CGI company that make all these. Yeah. Plus, what they say as well, like a lot of the shit that we see it's all CGI, all this NASA feed. Yeah. But there's a couple of other interesting things that they say, right? So, like your man, what's the name? That guy, Felix, the fella from the Red Bull. Do you remember he went up and he skydived?
Yes, they used a fisheye lens.
Yeah.
But there's a camera inside in the thing.
Yeah.
So when you see the camera from outside, you see this fucking the Earth.
You see
but it
the
looks like
dome.
he's in outer space, like it's stupid, like, you know. And when you see him, I was reading the comments underneath one of these videos, and someone goes, "Well, I guess that fucking debunks the whole retard flat Earth thing."
Yes.
But I saw someone else comment going, "The Earth looks fucking curved from 50 fucking meters up through that fisheye lens," and he timestamps.
It's going to curve everything.
He timestamps and he goes, "Look, here he is. He's like 50 meters from the ground, like, and the Earth looks curved." So.
But where it kind of gets interesting is he was interviewed after that, right? And he was saying, from my height from where I was, I could see the curvature of the Earth.
He said,
right? He said that.
Yeah.
But even Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's not a skeptic. He's a skeptic for a lot of this shit. He says there's no way that the world could have been curved or the globe is curved from that height.
Right.
He said it's going to look flat. He said it's going to look flat. He said so. That's kind of interesting, right? So again, me myself, I don't know, but like this whole thing of this fisheye lens, like why? Okay, so why is the fisheye lens used? To get the most detail that it can in an image.
Okay.
But like, why do they use the fisheye lens in everything? And like, then like there's been other cases where NASA have taken pictures and stuff, and they said, "Oh, that's literally we haven't used the fisheye lens. That's just a normal camera." But it's been proven that it's been a fisheye fucking lens.
Okay.
And that stuff I think is interesting.
I find as well, like, if you see like amateur footage of the sun, like there's a guy who makes these videos on YouTube with a telescope, and he puts a filter in front of the telescope so he can look at the sun, and the detail that he gets is amazing compared to what NASA will produce. Do you know what I mean? And if you ever see the people zooming in on stars?
Yes,
it's amazing. Like that again. It's not proof of anything, but NASA don't show you these images of stars like that. Do you know what I mean? Like you see a star, it's like just a white fucking dot or whatever. But they never zoom in on these stars and show you photographs like these amateurs are showing. And
what do they actually?
They all look different. All the stars look different. They flicker. They've got different colors. Even on a clear night, you can, if you look at the stars, some of them look different colors. You can see like there's red in that one or something.
They do.
It's weird.
Yeah, but is that an optical illusion from our own eye though?
I don't know, but whether like with these like what do they call them? The P900s or the P1000s, I think it's a Samsung camera or something like that. They have a really long, really good zoom. And dudes are zooming in on these stars.
That's the S21 or something, isn't it?
They're all different shapes, and they look like they're all moving, and they're all kind of pulsing and shit like that. And all I'm saying, whether there's an explanation for that, I don't know. If there's an official explanation, but NASA will never produce these photographs and show you this is what these stars look like through these cameras. You know what I mean?
I think it's one of the galaxies, the S24 or something like that, right? They have this thing that Samsung have come out and said they admitted it after. No, they never said it, when the phone was unveiled or whatever. Basically, when you zoom into the moon, it shows this detail of the moon, right? You could see all the fucking craters and all that. But they came out after and said, "Oh no, look, that's something that's an AI technology we built into it." It's kind of weird.
Okay.
It's weird.
That's something as well. Craters that I always thought, like, what craters always look. They're all the same. They're all perfect circles. So they say, "Oh, this crater was when this massive asteroid hit the fucking Earth or whatever, or this crater hit the moon, or this asteroid hit the moon and created this crater." They're always perfect circles, like they're coming in at a 90-degree angle. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, why don't they come in like airplanes and fucking hit and fucking drag and create a big fucking streak in the ground? Why are they all like? They all look like bombs. They all look like a bomb went off. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So basically,
I'm probably talking shit.
No, that makes sense. So basically, sure, it's just pure. So if I went out the back, or if you went to a beach, and if you threw something, you were going to be throwing it at an angle, if you threw a rock. Yeah. And then why does it leave that streaky kind of? Yeah, that's interesting. But then what's the name of that experiment that they did? And I don't know, it's something that has a term like the Bell experiment or something. Yeah. Basically, when they launched bombs onto the fucking surface of the moon to see if there was like water underneath it. Was it a bomb or was it a laser or something? They hit the fucking moon with something. And it was echoing. Yeah. For like a couple of hours. Yeah. And why would something echo? Yeah. If there's fucking hollow inside it. Yeah. Do you remember I told you to watch this movie, Moonfall? I watched it. It's fucking crazy, isn't it? Yeah, I watched it, yeah. Do you know what? Ronan, what's your man's name? Emmerich, isn't it? He does The Day After Tomorrow, Ronald Emmerich.
He directed it, was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But he's mad into all these disaster films. He does The Day After Tomorrow. I think he did. What's the alien invasion one? Independence Day. Yeah. Ronald Emmerich, I think is his name.
Right.
But it's mad, yeah. So the whole thing that the moon is actually is synthetic.
Yeah.
And it was made by this fucking alien race.
Yeah. Ike says that kind of stuff as well, I think.
David Icke's into that. But the moon, like any scientist or anyone that if you actually do a bit of research, like, and see what these people actually think about the moon, a lot of them say the fucking moon is impossible.
Yeah.
Like the position that where it is, what it does for us, like we'd be fucked without it.
Yeah.
There'd be just tsunamis all over the place.
Even with there was a fucking, wasn't there an eclipse there the other day?
Yeah. Should we not fuck all of it here?
The odds that the moon would be exactly what was it? Is it fucking? Let me get the maths now on this. I think the
moon is 27% the size of Earth.
It's something like it's one 1/400th of the size of the sun, and the sun just happens to be the perfect distance away for this or something. I can't remember now.
Right.
Fucking.
I know for a fact that it's 27% the size of the Earth, but yeah, something about the proportion of the distance between. Yeah. But what I find very strange, okay, but this is just me trying to grasp my head around it, okay. Again, maybe it's just a perspective thing, but would say when you're looking at an eclipse, why does it always seem like that the moon is very close to the exact same size of the circumference or the area of the sun?
Yeah.
Is that just a perspective thing?
No, like this. That's. They're saying that this is just an anomaly. That it's all just happening by coincidence.
But sure, like,
how can you fucking say that's happening by just a coincidence? That the moon just happens to be where it is, and the sun just happens to be where it is, and. Yeah,
but then think of it this way, Niall, right? Okay, people ask, where's the sign of fucking alien life? People believe, that we're the only ones that are here, we're just an anomaly, like we're 1 out of a trillion, right? So there's a lot of things like, so without fucking the rings of Saturn, we'd be fucked, because they block a lot of the asteroids there, so that's why the ring is there. Right? Yeah, it's just broken up asteroids. It makes up a lot of it. Yeah, and the gravity as well of it as well would suck in a lot of so to deter it from hitting us. But like no one knows when the fucking next meteor strike is going to happen. So then you've that. Then it's the whole thing of like we're in the Goldilocks zone, right? So that's another fucking anomaly. There's just
what's the Goldilocks zone?
So basically, the distance between your sun is just not too far or not too near to be just perfect. Yeah. But then like, what's the whole theory of the moon? Again, it's all theories. Like, none of this shit is fact, but we're taught in school that this is a fact. This is what happened, right? Which is absolute bullshit. But the whole thing that the moon
come from?
But the moon
Earth or something.
I think the moon was something else, like another kind of planet-sized thing that had fucking hit off Earth.
Okay.
And then that's the remains that fucking and then
yeah.
over the time of it orbiting, then that's when it produced that spherical kind of a shape. But just going back to that movie, right? It's mad, but like if you have any bit of an open mind, if you listen to this podcast, you obviously do. We're just at the deep end, we're just going to get into a lot more shit. But basically, the whole thing in the film, go and watch it. It's that there's this alien race that created AI, and this AI wiped out that alien race, and then they had genetically engineered like Homo sapiens or Homo erectus and all them fucking Neanderthals, whatever, all these ape-like creatures, and made humans basically, right? So then when they moved back to their own home, they were wiped out by their AI that they've created, and then the AI was working its way through the solar system or whatever, trying to wipe out its creator. I forget the ins and outs of it.
Yes,
but they spotted that the moon was huge into our survival and what's keeping things ticking here on Earth. Yeah. So it actually got into the moon and started wearing away at the moon. Yeah. Jimber lives inside it, and it's just fucking
moving it towards the Earth.
And it's pushing it towards the Earth. And then like it was just pure fucking Hollywood. Then they like go to the fucking the museum, and they like get, because so the AI would shut down anything that had like electrics in it, right? Send off EMPs for anything with circuits. Then they went to the fucking museum and got one of the shuttles that basically had no electronics in it. I don't know, it wasn't Apollo 11 or something else.
Something like that.
Yeah, and just magically fucking it worked.
Yeah.
Started with like a key, like a fucking car, got it going, and flew it up and used the gravity of the moon then to kind of like pull it towards. It was just fucking mad. But the idea I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
But like, we're listening to that podcast there, just recently after the Wi-Fi. It's a brilliant channel about the Anunnaki, like that kind of links with that belief.
Yeah.
Like, what's your belief in them?
We'll have to get into the Anunnaki the next time.
We'll have to get into them
Anunnaki
in order to.
and the Nephilim. And
that's nearly a full episode.
The Nephilim look like clowns and all that mad
stuff. That is mad shit. Like, a lot of people never heard of that.
Yeah, it's a wild one. But he pieces that fucking, what's his name again? Stobbs?
Paul, yes, the English guy. Yeah. Paul Stobbs.
Stobbs,
you sent me that one. It's very good.
He's I listened to, his channel is called Understanding Conspiracy.
I'll be honest, when you sent me that and I just seen the title Nephilim and giants and stuff,
the Nephilim look like clowns,
and I was like, holy fuck, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I believe, but when it comes to giants and shit like that, I was like, I don't know. But then when I listened to the podcast, like, it was like, okay, there's something there. And then if you compare it into like fucking psychedelics, so he was comparing it to like, if you watch Joe Rogan, like, he's mad into DMT, and he's like on about these fucking delves and the gestures.
Yes.
And then what Paul Stobbs is saying, that the Nephilim are, so basically these giants that were, it's fallen angels, that's the whole lore of it. Fallen angels that were banished to earth.
They
mate
with the women.
Mated with the humans. Then that was basically a smaller giant. And then they were like deformed and everything. And then there were different like breeds, and some of them were like cyclops and shit like that. And other of them were like long ginger hair, and they were cannibals and used to fucking eat humans. And then they were fighting against each other, murdering each other and everything. But then when they died, weren't they like banished to a different dimension? And that's when they took up the gesture.
Paul Stobbs, that's his theory. Is that his name, Stobbs?
Stobbs, I think it is.
Yeah, that's his theory, that they're not natural souls or something like that. So they're like
condemned souls,
and so they fucking possess people in order to fucking enjoy bad things.
Yeah.
You know?
But then the whole thing of the clown comes from that, like these cults then. So this is obviously spanning thousands of years. This is what the myth says, that like these fucking people that were like worshipping these Nephilim entities, the ones that were in different dimensions, that the ones that basically had the ginger hair and the murderous ones. So, and in the way that they do their like blood sacrifice and all this, but then people were getting wind of that, and then they were like fucking hunting down these cults, these people, you know, so the public. And then what they'll start doing is, okay, instead of sacrifice people, this shit isn't working out, we're going to think of a different type of sacrifice. So then what they did was the clown. So clown is used for entertainment, right? So what's a clown? Red hair, fucking red lips, big mouth, big hands, large feet. But then what they say with the Nephilim, that a lot of them, because so many of them remained, because they're all murdering each other, humans were hunting them and all, a lot of them wanted to fit in. So when they kept interbreeding with humans, they're getting smaller and smaller, but they're still like cannibalistic, and they still hunt each other and hunt humans. The red around the lipstick of a clown represents blood. And the hair represents, you know, what the creature was.
And wasn't there like royalty that were using some sort of a neck thing? What was that? Like it was like an item of clothing, but it represented the reptilian skin or something.
Okay, like that. Right, I can't remember.
There was some British queen that he was pointing to. She died of lead poisoning. I can't remember her name, but she used to fucking put this fucking paint, the white paint on her
paint,
and her hair was bright red, and she used to dress like this, so she's basically trying to worship the Nephilim.
Yes.
So that was his theory anyway. But
and then what they used to do with the clown, so this is the theory as well, so they used to put the clown on stage doing all these weird dances. People thought it was entertainment and funny, look at this fucking clown, but it was actually like ritualistic fucking dancing, and the whole goal of it was supposedly to offer the souls of the people that were in the audience, so that when they
Okay.
died, their souls were being offered to these entities,
Interesting, yeah.
and then they would gain like any of these fucking sacrificial things, they would gain like life's riches,
Yes,
basically,
yes.
or
Yeah.
reward after death.
Yeah.
So that's a mad thing, because no one actually thinks of where the fucking clown came
Yeah.
from. But that's an interesting idea. If the whole thing of Nephilim is bullshit, but if people actually believed it, and then if you had these like cultish fucking like setups that actually thought that these things did exist, like that's a possible origin of the clown there.
Yeah.
But that's, you could go mad into that.
Saying that he was him that was saying that the Freemasons invented the circus?
Yeah, okay.
I think that's what he was saying.
Is that for public sacrifice without actually
I'm not sure.
sacrifice of souls?
I'm not sure. Yeah, it was like a fucking ceremony.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But even to go like, so again we're going back to our celebrities things and kind of satanic shit. But there was a concert there done by Travis Scott. I think it was 2 years ago. And people died of that. But it was so weird, right? So do you remember the entrance of it? It was like a fucking demon fucking head or something. So they said that a lot of conspiracy things is all over TikTok as well. That was just basically like a pure fucking ritual to like Satan or whatever. And he was like sacrificing souls. That's what it looked like, that he was doing some kind of ritualistic shit.
Yeah, but something to do with, they were talking about portals or something.
Yeah, and there's a lot of symbolism on the stage as well.
He was wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Basically, people were going through a portal on his t-shirt or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Coming out different on the other side or something.
But like people think like, okay, like that's a hard one to fucking to wrap your head around, like, because you wonder, okay, so music is a lot of just fucking artists like expressing themselves, but then you'd wonder with the shit like that, and then okay, how are these artists getting to where they've been? Like, is there something to like? I remember you taught me before. It was one of the first things when it came to like making a deal with the devil. What's that guy's name? He's
not Robert Johnson. Some Johnson guy. I can't remember his
country singer basically, and he used to have in a lot of his songs. It'd be like something like the meeting the devil at the crossroads, and that's where he offered his soul. And but apparently the whole story of him was he was a musician all his life, had very little skill, was getting nowhere. Then all of a sudden he popped up out of the blue. Tommy Johnson. Yeah, that's an interesting one to look into.
Do you know, I love that stuff. I don't know if I believe it, but I love the lore of it, and you know, listening to these old guys, there's interviews where they're talking about Tommy Johnson, and they're very convincing. But you look, they could be selling a story too. But just like one of them was just saying, like, he was fucking awful. Like, he was always hanging around, always trying to jam at us, and we were like, "Would you just fuck out of here, man? It's fucking awful." Right. So he disappeared for a couple of months, and he came back, and they were like, "Oh, you're back. You just fucking jog on." He goes, "No, come here. I want to show you what I've learned." And then he starts fucking shredding the guitar, and they're like, "Fucking hell!"
Yeah.
And he said like that he knew everything. Your man was saying like it was like you tell him a song, and it was like pressing a tape recorder. And he just played it, he was able to play. And he did write a few songs. He wrote a song about the devil is coming for him and stuff like that. Yes,
he did a lot of fucking weird shit like that.
Yeah. There's a famous photo of him as well, where he's posing with his guitar, and there's some sort of a fucking backdrop behind him, like I don't know, like the photographer put some sort of a thing behind him. But if you look at it, there's a fucking face, a very fucking sinister looking face. Okay. It's kind of, to be honest, it's kind of like seeing a face in a cloud. Right. But it's still, when you see it, it's there. Like,
it's hard not to notice.
Like, oh fuck, that's creepy shit. Like,
now it could be selective, 100%.
Look
for something, but still at the same thing.
Like,
but when you, I don't know, did you ever watch Futurama?
I watched a bit, not in fucking 15, 20 years probably. But
there's this devil character that's in it, and he's basically a robotic devil kind of thing, right? So he's in Robot Hell. Yeah. But there's one of the episodes where Fry wants to get better at music, basically. So he makes a deal with the devil, and the devil gives him his hands.
Oh fuck! Okay,
his own hands to Fry, and then Fry unwillingly or unknowingly signs away his soul. So then he gets very good at the violin, whatever. Yeah. But it's the devil's hands, like. Yeah. And then his time comes up basically, and he has to offer himself his soul, and then he ends up in hell. But there's a lot of shit out there, even. Yeah.
There's so many movies like this as well.
Yeah.
So it was a comedy, and I saw this as a child, and I think it came out in the 70s or the 80s. I can't remember the name of the actor now. He's an old guy, but Yeah, it's like, it was a kind of a comedy. Oh my, oh God, you oh God, you devil, I think it's called. Or something like that. But there's a scene in it where there's this guy, he's trying to write a song, and he can't. He's like, I'd sell my soul to the devil. And the devil is like driving down the road, and he's got a TV in his car, which was probably a big thing from the 70s. It wouldn't have existed. And he sees this guy, and he gives him 7 years, something like that. That's the deal. Right. You'd be a rock star for 7 years. After 7 years, then your man's on stage on a world tour. He goes off for a break, and the devil's there, and he's like, what the 7 years is up, man. And he goes, but I'm on tour, like, people are expecting me. And he goes, it's okay. And he turns around and he sees himself out on the stage. Oh, so man. He gets taken away, as far as I remember. But yeah, so many movies like that. But I love that lore. But what are you gonna? I
love that lore as well. But like, didn't the whole thing like of rock stars and the rock scene, and everyone just thinks rocks. Yeah. Like, what's the larger than that? That's a sign of the devil. Like the devil's horns.
Yeah, the devil horns. Like, if you look at your man, Anton LaVey, he was on television. He's the founder of the Satanic Church.
Yes.
And he's spelling it out.
That's the bald guy with the eyebrows.
Like this, like, yeah, that's right. Yeah. But he, like, if you weren't familiar with Christianity, and I was, and we go to a music concert, and the guys come out dressed like priests, and you don't know what priests look like, and then they start fucking doing the sign of the cross in front of the crowd, and all the crowd are doing the sign of the cross back. Yeah. They don't know what they're doing.
It's the sheep mentality kind of thing.
It's just rock and roll.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they're putting up the devil horns, but they don't really know.
But that's where shit gets lost. Like, do you watch the Super Bowl?
No, but I'm familiar with all the mad halftime shows. And
yeah, but this year, right, so it was all about Taylor Swift has been on the screen every fucking 5 minutes, and she's
going up with her boyfriend.
Yeah, but there's this famous rapper anyway. She's a girl. She's youngish enough. But there's a clip, I can't remember her name, Little something. But there's a clip of her, and she's wearing like an upside down cross, right? And she does like this fucking, like a devil thing, but it's kind of different symbols with her hands, and she's sticking out her tongue. But it's only when the camera's on her, she knows the camera's spent on her, and she does this. Yeah. So then you'd wonder, what the fuck is all this? Is she just doing it for attention? Yeah. Or is there something actually behind it?
You see all there's like compilation photographs of all the celebrities doing this fucking okay sign with their eye like this. That's a knock on the door now, so we better wrap it up.
Yeah, we better wrap it up.
Take it up here the next day. So.
We will.
Alright. Thanks, John.
So now.